Since the dawn of time, women have had no rights, no agency, and could do nothing. Wrong! That's what you've been taught by feminists. In this video, I'm going to list 5 key industries that historically were predominantly run by women. My name is Zarina Matcha, and you're watching The Rational Female. If you enjoy my content, give the video a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to stay notified on all future uploads. Number 1. Nursing. Nursing historically has always been a heavily female-dominated profession, such as during medieval England. Florence Nightingale is the most well-known female nurse in Western history. In the late 19th and early 20th century, she helped bring social reforms to nursing and hospitals. She greatly worked to improve the health conditions of the facilities that she worked in. In 1860, she opened the first secular nursing school in the world at St. Thomas's Hospital in London. Nursing has always been viewed as women's work because it has been viewed as an extension of domestic and maternal roles. Caring for the sick, infants, and the elderly allows women to use qualities like tenderness, warmth, compassion, empathy, healing, and grace. This is something to celebrate. There were even a group of important nurses in 1908 who served in the US Navy representing the nurse corps known as the Sacred 20. Midwifery has also been heavily female-dominated. Prior to the rise of industrialized medicine, delivering children was seen as a female-specialized area. And this makes sense as women are the ones who give birth. Number 2. Cheesemaking. Cheesemaking, from the agrarian age until the Industrial Revolution, was largely seen as women's work. Men generally performed much of the heavy agricultural labor like tending to fields, while women often managed dairy production, including butter and cheese. This fit the rhythm of household management and allowed them to stay close to the home. Mary Harel was a French cheesemaker who, according to local legend, invented camembert cheese. Number 3. Textiles. Spinning, weaving, sewing, and clothes production has been strongly associated with women across many cultures and eras, from the prehistoric era through medieval and early modern household and cottage industries to the factories of the Industrial Revolution. Textiles was largely seen as an extension of traditional female domestic arts. The Lowell mill girls actually organized strikes in the 1830s to protest against wage cuts. They formed one of the earliest organizations of working women in the United States. Number 4. Teaching. Teaching became heavily female-dominated in the 19th century. In Europe, many unmarried, middle-class women became governesses, which was seen as a respectable profession for educated women. This is documented in Victorian English novels like Jane Eyre. Now, being a governess did come with many hardships, such as not really being seen as part of the family and a lack of state welfare. This is why in 1841, the Governesses Benevolent Institution was formed by the Reverend David Lang, yes, a man, to protect vulnerable women in a largely unregulated profession. This shows that despite social hardships, the need to make life easier for women has always been something that people usually take into consideration. Number 5. Brewing. Before large-scale commercial brewing, making ale and beer was commonly women's work, particularly in medieval and early modern Europe, and even in some ancient societies. Alewives, or brewsters, produced and often sold household or small-scale beer. This suited women's domestic routines alongside food preparation. As with cheesemaking, industrialization largely made this trade become male-dominated, but for centuries it was a recognized female occupation in many communities. Feminists want us all to believe that women were oppressed and could do nothing. The reality is, men and women handled different tasks through division of labor. Men generally tended to outdoor activities, while women often combined domestic work with agriculture and household industries. Of course, women are and were definitely mistreated in certain societies and situations. This is well documented, and we shouldn't deny genuine injustices against women. But why don't we hear more about positive female contributions to society? Why do we exclusively seem to focus on female oppression, but not enough on positive female contributions. You would think that feminists could have spent all that time publishing books about women's achievements and social contributions instead of claiming that women were the perpetual victims of male tyranny. This is an insult to the women of the past. In ancient Egypt, women could run businesses, borrow money, and own property. There are many notable Egyptian queens like Cleopatra, Hatshepsut, and Nefertiti. In ancient Rome, women contributed to the private and domestic sphere just as men contributed to the public sphere. Women were responsible for managing households, raising children, and maintaining family traditions. In the public realm, women were sometimes prominent in religious rites and festivals, often serving as priestesses. Some women, particularly those from wealthier families, had access to education and enjoyed a degree of autonomy in managing their wealth. One could argue that in some cases, women were paid less than men or seen as cheaper labor. But the reasons for this may have been because there was less pressure on women to earn more money and a social expectation on men, usually, to be the primary breadwinners. It was assumed that women would get married and be taken care of financially by a man. Not to mention, women tend to put more pressure on men to earn more money, which Warren Farrell talks extensively about in The Myth of Male Power. One major historical function of marriage was to provide women with financial and social protection in societies where men were expected to provide. Many civilizations have prioritized protecting women, which sometimes included restricting women's freedoms. This doesn't mean we need to agree with all of this today, but we must look at historical context and logical reasoning. It's safer and more accurate to assume mutual obligations and mutual burdens between the sexes rather than the feminist narrative of total female subjugation. We have got to stop buying into this myth of female oppression. Both men and women historically faced injustices, just as both sexes held different social roles. Feminism has warped and distorted human history to turn it into a story of male dominance and female oppression. The reality is far more nuanced than this. Do let me know your thoughts on this below. For regular essays critiquing feminism, follow my Rational Female Substack. Link is available here or in the description below. To support the channel further, consider buying me a coffee via this link. Your support really helps me out a lot.